Right. Good evening, everyone. It is now 7:13. We apologize for the delay. We're going to get started. We are going to request a roll call vote from Shay to establish a quorum. Yes. Ms. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Maureen. Here. Ms. Lane. Here. Dr. Coleman. Here. Mr. Harsley.
Present.
And do we have Ms. Oswald via Zoom?
Yes.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We will now move to item 3 on our agenda, which is Riverview Excellence.
All righty. Good evening, Special Administrative Board members, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues, and community. We actually have quite a bit in Riverview Excellence today. One thing I just want to touch base on, which we'll actually bring at the next meeting. We have one of our scholars from Koch Elementary, a 4th grade scholar by the name of Keon White. You may have seen him on the news. I believe Channel 4 did a report. He saved his grandmother. His grandmother was having a medical emergency while he was staying over her house. He noticed it, called 911, went the paramedics in, and that was a life-saving call that he made. And so he was not able to make it to the board meeting tonight, so we've invited him to the next meeting, but we still wanted to recognize Keon White at Koch Elementary. Also, just another mention, in Ms. Lane, they want to go more into it. We had some scholars from Riverview Gardens High School that received scholarships from the North County Fire and Rescue. That event was tonight, and I know Ms. Lane was in attendance. I don't know if you want to expound on that, but we're going to bring those individuals to the board at the next meeting as well. Next, we want to honor our Teacher of the Year winners. There was an event tonight at 5 o'clock honoring our District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Wanda Shaw, as well as and also all of the building-wide Teachers of the Year as well. And so Dr. Tiffany Patton has prepared a brief presentation, and so we just want to show that to the board as well.
Hmm. Oh yeah, now she's getting up here. I hope she's at her parents' It's not this.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, and colleagues and friends. I do want to just shout out the Teachers of the Year who are present tonight. We have Miss Patty Madonna representing Michelle Obama. Can you stand please for the flag for you? We also have Miss Irwin representing Gibson Elementary. And then last but not least, we have Miss Juanita Shaw, the District Teacher of the Year and Westview Middle Teacher of the Year. And I do want to recognize Ms. Shaw has a student here tonight to celebrate her who she taught 15 years ago that saw she had won District Teacher of the Year and wanted to celebrate with her. Warren, can you please show your hands? Thank you so much for coming tonight. Congratulations to our District Teachers of the Year. We are so proud and glad to be able to honor them. Thank you. Also added by my, Ms. Shaw has is it a rap, it's a jingle, but it talks about the importance of teaching and learning. Then she names every school in the district.
And then something you to do your thing. The sun is bright, the view is clear. I hear the birdies sing. But do you know what that means? I really think you're doing a new view on the horizon here in this review. It's important for you to stay on course, stay focused, stay strong, your skills to be informed. Reading science, yeah, you know the drill. Don't forget about history, teachers here. You have to know about the past and consider. To move ahead is the plan for the community. They have to come together for you to achieve. Stay bold, be bold, you have to believe. Stay on track, don't look back, conquer, so doing. With conviction and hard work, you can have everything. Keep rising to the top and don't hesitate. The world is yours, let your aspirations elevate. Ready, set, go, educate. Ready, set, go, motivate. Ready, set, go, navigate. Ready, set, go, graduate. Tell me, did you hear what I said before? I don't think you did. I'll tell you once more. Believe it, believe it, believe it, believe it.
All right, give her a round of applause.
I can't wait for them to hear that the school's getting called out. That's the big part. I want to thank the district for this honor, motivating my students, watching them achieve their goals and dreams. So important. They know that I am behind them 100%. Like, wait.
Yes, we do.
With you on the horizon, I will keep them focused and believing they can achieve and always set their minds to their goals. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. And again, congratulations to all of the Teachers of the Year winners for Riverview School District. All right, last and not least, I told you it was a long Riverview Excellence, but March is the Missouri School Board Recognition Month. And so we wanted to honor our special administrative board members. See some of our principals and building leaders have given you gifts. Dr. Pruitt Adams, I turn it over to you here.
As the chair indicated, Governor Parsons has identified March as Board Appreciation Month. So with that, I have a resolution. And then I'm going to ask that each of you come up to get your certificate. This is from the Office of the Governor, State of Missouri, Governor's Proclamation. Whereas a system of quality public education is essential to the future of our state and nation. And whereas the people of Missouri have a long tradition of support for public education in their local school districts. And whereas local school boards are the ultimate impression of the unique American institution of representative governance of public school districts. And whereas local school boards acting on behalf of and in close connection with the people in their communities chart the direction of education in their communities. And whereas local school boards serve as the key community advocate for children, youth, with the public schools. Now, therefore, I, Michael L. Parsons, Governor of the State of Missouri, do hereby proclaim March 2023 to be School Board Recognition Month in Missouri and urge all Missourians to recognize school boards as they strive with their communities to improve our public schools with quality leadership. In testament whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affirmed the great seal of the State of Missouri and the city of Jefferson this 30th day of November 2022. Also, I think the gifts that you received from everyone is a show of our gratitude. Is a show of our gratitude for you. This is a selfless job that you don't get paid for. And only until you have sat in the seats that you sit in do you recognize how time intensive being a board member is. And so just know that the tokens of gratitude today are out of total appreciation for all that you do. And now I'm going to call you up for each of you to receive your certificates from Missouri School Board Association that says Missouri School Board Association proudly recognizes that your name is here. Review Gardens Board of Education for dedicated leadership in public education and continuing service to the children of their community. And this was signed by Ray Murphy, President, and Melissa Randall, Executive Director. Ms. Maura Real, if you would come forward and get your certificate. Don't forget. Mr. Tommy Horsley the third. Mr. Reggie Jones. Oswald is one of them. And we are going to picture of you in the front. Yeah, get a little closer. Okay, there you go. Yes, a few people will show forward like this. Because it fits me.
Right. And just a reminder for everyone, or just to let everyone know, immediately following the board meeting, we will have light refreshments available to honor the Special Administrative Board. But everybody who is here in the meeting is welcome to partake and to spend a little time to show them your gratitude for the SAB and all that you do.
Well, I'm just going to say it's heavy.
Heavy on that. Heavy.
Before we go to, patron participation, I just wanted to congratulate all of the teachers. I stopped by your, I've been a little bit, but we had to come and take care of business. So I just want to let you all know that, I'm very, very happy for all of you that your respective places from teacher of the year, those of you that were with the teachers of the year. But more than that, I just want to thank you for your, love of the district and for sticking with us. I know some people have gone, but I just want you all to know that I appreciate all of you all that sing in this room and the commitment and the work that you do with young people. It has an impact. I still remember the teachers that had an impact on my life. Miss Blaine, bless her heart, was a teacher that basically moved me and told me that she thought great things for me. So I was sitting there thinking about her. Beaumont class of 77, I didn't graduate from Beaumont, graduated in Southwest, but she had an impact on me. So just realize and know that that's a God ordained gift when you have an impact. I just wanted to say that. Now, let me know if any other comments.
Just want to thank you all for this overwhelming show of appreciation. My goodness, I feel like I should probably you all. But I am so grateful, and I thank each and every one of you for your hard work and for your service. You really been determined to serve you.
Jason, we have any patrons that would like to speak before the board? Okay, well, I'm going to go to the board announcements. Does anybody else have any announcements?
I like to say, in response to director regarding the scholarships that were given out today from the Riverview North County Fire and Rescue District. Total was $4,500, and I've been asking for the list of students who received them. I don't have their names, but it would be wonderful when we have our next meeting, we can invite them, because that's a wonder. They have a very active community outreach department in the fire district, and this is a part of the community outreach.
Thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is this I have before me? This is an immediate local board member completes training. Tommy Horsley, a member of the Riverview Gardens Board of Education, completed 18.5 hours of training required by state law. The essential new board member training, sponsored by the Missouri School Board Association, combined online independent study with on-site interactive session that held in St. Charles, Missouri on June 10th of 2022. The new board member training places a strong emphasis on improving student achievement by providing guidance to board members and effective school board leadership. Some of the topics addressed included effective board operations, including information on the role of the school board in providing oversight of the school district, important school laws, establishing school district policy, fundamentals of school finance, protecting students from sexual misconduct, and the important role the school board plays in establishing school district goals and monitoring the student. You all help me to congratulate. Has especially considered 18.5 hours of legally required specific certified board training. January 30th, 2023. Signed by Ray Murphy, Designated President, Melissa Lane, and the Executive Chairman. Thank you so much. Okay, we will now hear from our Riverview Board, student representative. Board.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who do not know who I am Lanai Hill. I attend River Garden School, River Garden High School. I am a senior, and I'm going to be doing the announcements. I don't have anything too crazy. I'm going to make it short and super sweet. So first thing is going to be the Rambler, which I am an editor-in-chief in. It is a newspaper magazine at my school, and it is beautiful. We took a long time to get it produced. Let me just say that it was a lot of hard work. But the stories and the students, everything just kind of pokes at you. So everything is just very authentic, and I recommend that you go look at it. It should be available on the website. If it's not now, it's going to be on the next on it. So that's the first thing. And then the lunch improvements. So over the past few months, since we've been in school, I've been like interviewing some of the students and trying to figure out, has the things that we've suggested for the lunch improvements, have they been helping, and have they been allowing more kids to come, to the cafeteria and actually get food and not just go back outside and whatnot. And they have. A lot of kids are more excited about the food options that we have. There are more salads and more fresh fruits. And I have myself took photography photos of the cafeteria ladies working really hard to make sure that the food is fresh, the salads are prepped. So I just want to give them a really, really big shout out because I see the work that they put in. They work really hard. Even though it's not a lot of them, I see the effort. So I think that's the most important thing. And also I want to account on the fact that they actually play music for us. So I think it makes like the process of our lunches more smoother. So those are my announcements. I hope you all enjoy it.
But now move to item 7, which is the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. I would like, before I make my announcement, just to do a moment of silence for the victims in Nashville and the victims in Mississippi. Thank you. I also want to thank the individuals who are identified at the individual building levels for Teachers of the Year and to our district-wide Teacher of the Year. Now get forward, I think, for the state level Teacher of the Year. When you talk about impact, sometimes we don't know, you hear people say, oh, I'm just a teacher. Nobody's just a teacher. Every one of us in this room who is here is because of the work or having our lives touched by a teacher. I heard Ms. Maura Real speak to hers, and people don't know this, but I was truly an introvert. But I was coming up very shy, drawn, extremely low self-esteem. But it's really hard to believe right now. But it was my third grade teacher, Ms. Gold. And she would push me and say, you're going to be the mistress of ceremony at our program. And I go, no, I don't want to do it. I want to do it. And she would push me. She didn't give me an option. And I think my ability now to be who I am and what I am had a lot to do with her believing in this shy. And when I say shy, I couldn't shop as an adult for myself. I wouldn't go anywhere by myself. And it was her who pushed me, I believe, to be the person that I am. So you never underestimate the impact that you have on someone's life. The young man here today is a testament to that. When you see someone on the street and they say, I was at an event last year, you were my teacher. I said, okay, LaTanya Collins, the President Harris, so I was her cheerleading coach. Yes. And she remembered that I did. And so I don't want you to ever, we have the bad days where it's like, what the heck that I signed up for? But if you really focus on those good days, those positive days, when things go smoothly, that's when it's all working. So I just want to thank each and every one of you, and even those who are not Teacher of the Year, for all that you do every single day for students. Thank you. Also, I want to say that if you newly released today, the most recent Grammarly podcast with our own Dr. Tiffany Patton. I listened to her, very informative. So if you get a chance, listen to her podcast that was released today. And last but not least, April 11th, our new board members will be sworn in. We know we have 3 seats that will be open. They will be sworn in at the end of the board meeting. I encourage all of you to come out and just show support for our new board members too, have never been on the board. And so just to see your faces, get to know them. So I encourage you to come out and join them, but also allow us to say goodbye to our board members who will be leaving. That concludes my announcement. And our first item for information is Counseling and Social Work Program Review. Making this presentation is Dr. Tanya Patton and Ms. Deidre Liddell, District Interventionist. This item is in compliance with CSIP Gold Collaborative Cultures and Board Policy. I am evaluating of instructional program. Item is for information. Yeah.
Thank you. Greetings to the Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues, and community.
You need to go on her PowerPoint.
Which one? Program evaluation?
There you go.
So again, my name is Deidre Liddell. I support all of the counselors, social workers, our SEIAs, response to interventionists. So our goals are to remove all barriers to learning by implementing tiered interventions through the Missouri model of guidance. This includes our guidance curriculum, individual planning, responsive services, and system support.
Break it when I drop it.
Okay, so with this, this is in coordination with professional school counselors, our social workers, our response to interventionists, as well as our restorative programs. And our goal is to make sure that all of our students have success academically, for career, college and career, social emotional growth, as well as their mental well-being. We also accommodate the very high demand of our families, needing a wide array of resources to make sure that all of these needs are met for our families as well as our students. All right, so our staffing changes for this year, we have added 5 new social workers, which gives us a social worker in every building. This includes part-time social workers that go between Danforth and early childhood to make sure that early childhood is supported as well this year. We also added 9 social emotional intervention assistants, which are our restorative classrooms. So we have restorative classroom at the high school as well as the middle school, as well as a restorative entry program to make sure that our students are not getting suspended as much. So our students are able to go through the restorative programs, which helps with suspension and attendance. Some of the highlights for our programs are we've received a Project Aware grant, which will expand our mental health services within our schools. This also helps because we do have therapists that come through our through the service fund. However, they're having trouble with staffing as well. So with the Project Aware grant, that will give us the opportunity to hire therapists of our own to be able to fill those gaps to make sure that we have therapists throughout the district. We also have expanded our trauma-informed practices to students and parents. We provided restorative training and suicide awareness to all staff. We've also created a partnership to expose elementary scholars to therapeutic service animals. And we updated our website to include our social, emotional, mental health resources to all of our families. And we've also added, like I said before, the restorative reset classes that all of the secondary. So the tools that we are using to evaluate the program, and this is for the guidance program specifically, that you see here as far as the chart goes. But we use Tyler System Pulse. We use the iTeam database. This right here is an internal improvement review. We also use time test analysis and district partner referral list, and we keep our own spreadsheets as well. With this, with the chart that you see, our percentages for our elementary, middle, and high fall into the mostly implemented as well as the fully implemented areas for our Missouri model of guidance, which means that we are in accordance with the same. The success of our program is also based on the resources that we provide our families. So the first chart, you'll see the resources that were provided in 2022, and then the second is 2023. So far, our housing resources have decreased just a little bit by 2%. Fortunately, our funeral resources have increased a lot this year. It's hard to see on the chart. However, our clothing resources have increased, but in the other portion, our therapeutic resources have pretty much skyrocketed. It only shows about a 9% increase. However, that is 9% based off of the therapists that we have within the school district. So far, all of our therapists are full with a waiting list. However, we do have some gaps where we do have some therapists that are not within our students based on staff and doing children's services. So our opportunities to expand. We are wanting to train all staff in Missouri Connection. This will assist in the career exploration of pathways for scholars 3 through 12, grades 3 through 12, sorry. We will expand our mental health services and social emotional learning programs to include Michelle Obama Early Childhood. We're also looking to hire regarding school district social emotional therapists to provide support to all students through the Project Aware grant. And we will also, we're also wanting to build more structured and intensive IT processes through RGSD MTSS programs. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Our next item is an item for discussion, and it's policy recommendation for this presentation. Ms. Monica Williams, we will be asked for approval at the next board meeting. And this is in compliance with the policies that are listed.
Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt Adams, colleagues and community. Tonight I will be presenting policy recommendations for discussion. The policy committee met and we discussed the policies, and the summaries are a part of the board packet. We have policy BDD, B2 agenda, B agendas, BDDH, public participation at board meetings, policy EF, service management, policy IGB, accommodations of students with disabilities, policy IGBC, parents and family involvement and engagement, policy IGBCB, programs for migratory students, and lastly, policy IGBE, students in foster care. Are there any questions?
Our next item is substitute teachers, district employees. Making this presentation is Ms. Williams. This is tied to our budget and policy GB-1 part-time and substitute. We will be asking approval at the next.
Okay, this item is regarding substitute teachers. As you know, at the last meeting, a presentation was made to discontinue our substitute teacher vendor. So with that being the case, we would like to bring substitute teachers back in-house, managing substitute teachers, and then to also make the pay rate more competitive. And so for our daily rate, it's currently $105 a day. And so we would like to increase that to $140 a day. And for our long-term daily rate, it's currently $200 a day. We would like to increase that to $230 a day. This is expensive, as you can see. However, we have a lot of staff vacancies, and we really rely on our long-term substitute teachers now more than ever with the expectations. And so we want to remain competitive, and we just want to do what we can to attract and retain quality substitute teachers for the district. Question?
The next item is item 9, 23-24 staffing plan, also it's Ms. Williams, so we would ask for Lord the name.
Okay, again, the 23-24 staffing plan. As you can see, in the board item, we have added a lot of positions here. And again, the additional positions are based on the needs of the staff, needs of the district. And so some of our class sizes, the projections are right at the DESI class size minimum. And so with those schools, we were looking at adding instructional assistants versus adding additional teachers at this point. Also in our high schools and middle schools, we are working very diligently to increase student attendance and also improve the record keeping. And at this point, those schools do not have a designated attendance secretary. That does not mean that someone's not performing that task, but the elementary schools have attendance secretary. Also looking at the ELL program, we are looking at having one ELL teacher for each level. So one for elementary, one for middle school, and one for school. So that will require that we add an additional ELL teacher. Our Parents as Teachers program, they're decreasing the parent educator position by 1 and adding 2 part-time screeners. For food service, we're looking at adding an additional cook to Gibson Elementary School. That is our elementary school with the highest student population, and that cook there is responsible for serving so many more students than the other locations. We are looking at moving to centralized purchasing. And so with that being the case in the finance department, we are looking at changing the administrative assistant position to add purchasing to that duties of that position. Also adding a payroll clerk. And so with substitute teachers coming in-house, back in-house with the board votes to do that, there will be a lot of additional work, not only for payroll, but also for human resources. So we're asking for additional payroll clerk. Safety and security, we're asking that the Secretary 2 position be upgraded to a Secretary 3. Also, we would like to, and we're always talking about safety and security, not only when the students are on campus, but when they're not here, there are things that go on. So we're wanting our DSOs to become 12-month employees instead of 10. Right now, they're 10-month employees. And that way they will be here all throughout summer school, through our summer program, and then also ensuring the safety of our buildings and making sure our facilities are safe throughout the summer. Next, for facilities, again, we're looking at cleanliness here. We would like to add 10 custodians. And then we're also looking at our maintenance positions. We spend money with vendors to do plumbing, electrician, HVAC work, and so we would like to add our own employees so that we can, that would also be a cost savings to our district if we were able to hire our own maintenance technicians. For technology, we are constantly looking at supporting our technology program, so we would like to add a technology coach. And then lastly, for student services, we would like to add a project aware coordinator, and this position is reimbursable through a grant. Are there any questions?
I want to make a comment, if I might. When we look at what's here, we know that appears to be a lot. I'm just going to put that out there. However, when we really looked at our student numbers, we could have added a teacher at every single building. But because of the teacher shortage, we opted to then hire teachers to be supported in the classroom When you see the issue about the attendance clerk, that's an equity issue. And we found that throughout our district, there are some buildings that have some allocation that others do not. And equity is a key piece of MSIP. The other piece is the monies that we spend on contracted services, $300, $400, $500 an hour. That if we bought that in-house, we wouldn't have that cost. We're going to be coming to you with an RFP tonight for food service. That will also be a cost saving. Going centralized purchasing, doing bulk purchases versus every single site doing their own. So for us, this staffing plan covers supporting our teachers and our administrators, meeting the needs of our students. Because attendance right now, we have a 46% portion of attendance. DESE requires 90% of the students, 90% of the time. So the things that have been missing for us to begin to truly move forward as a school district, we have to do some of those things. We realize that as an administrative team, and Dr. Singleton has stretched it more than I can possibly count. We have to cut back on some other things in order to do this, but at some time, if we really want to move forward, we have to put the supports in place, but they are truly needed. Are there any questions?
That you can see, here, the plumber, the electrician, and HVAC. Looking at it stands out. I just happen to see it once, and I hope that we can find some qualified people.
And I really think it's what we do. If you've not been in our buildings lately, they are old and ill repair. And with the shortage out there, we're waiting on sometimes people to come in and get it done. And so we're trying to put some things in place that are gonna make our buildings comfortable temperature-wise. Because sometimes it's either too cold or it's too hot. That will give adequate lighting, that will eradicate some of the mold that we have, that will address some of those issues that we face that impede teaching and learning for kids. And we are willing as an administrative team to make the cuts when necessary to try to have school again. And right now, we're not having school like some other places are having school. And our scholars deserve that, and our teachers deserve. Thank you. Our next item is D, under number 9, summary of fund balance report for the month ending February 28, 2023. Making this presentation is Dr. Lamont Singleton. This is in compliance with policy DIAA fund balance, and we'll ask approval at the next meeting. Dr. Singleton.
Thank you, Dr. Pruitt-Adams. Good evening, Special Administrative Board, Dr. Pruitt-Adams, colleagues, and community. Tonight, I will summarize or give us our financial report for the month. This is for the 8 months ending February 28, 2023. Next slide, thank you. As you can see on our fund balance report, we're doing fairly well overall. As a district financially, of course, we have to attribute a lot of this to ESSER funds, but we are doing fairly well as a district, I would say. Our beginning fund balance right at about $24 million. You see that on the front page. So far, year-to-date revenue that we've collected, and this is through February of 2023, about $52 million. We've spent about $47 million. It's always good when you collect more than you spend. And so our ending fund balance as of February looks right at about $29.7 million. The next page looks at our grant expenditures as always. We monitor those. Those are our titles. Those are our ESSER grants. A lot of those are reimbursable. The district spends the money and we get reimbursed those. And so we've spent about $11 million so far. We've still got roughly about $20 million available to be spent as well. And so we are working hard this month to making sure that we do those spend downs that are necessary. The next page deals with the revenues as well. We looked at what our receipts are, and then we look at what our outstanding collections are in those last two categories. So we received about $10 million so far. We've still got roughly about $30 million to collect throughout June of this current fiscal year. The next page looks at the revenues again by fund. So when you look at the general fund, the teachers fund, the debt service, it just simply shows you the monies that are allocated to each and every one of those funds. And it comes back to those numbers that you see on the very first page that we share. On the expenditure side as well, again, those numbers match up to the 47 million we talked about on the first page. And we see where those expenses are going by fund as well. Last two pages, always just kind of good to know where were we this time in the previous two fiscal years. So we look at 21, 22, and 23, and we look at those funds again. We see, for instance, in our general fund, in 21, we're at $18.6 million, 22, 21.9, and of course, in revenues, about $26.8 million. And again, the bulk of the difference there has to deal with the federal monies that we are receiving. And again, it's broken down in each of those funds. Our last page shows our expenditures. With more money comes more expenses a lot of times. And so it's the same trend that you'll see. 21, $16.3 million. Got a little bit more federal monies in 22. And then we certainly jump to the year 2023. We're at about $23 million. So several $1 million more in expenditures. And again, a lot of that is our federal projects that we are working on at this time. That concludes my summary of fund balance report for the month ending February 28, 2023. Are there any questions for me at this time?
The next item is E, first student transportation contract extension for 23-24, making this presentation is Dr. Singleton. It is in compliance with financial facilities goal 3 of the CSIP, and we will be asking approval at the next. Dr. Singleton.
Thank you again, Dr. Pruitt-Adams. We are trying to, of course, get our annual contracts in advance of the end of the fiscal year. And so this is one of our annual contracts that is up for renewal. 3 years ago, we did a 3-year contract with First Student. Of course, we know that they provide our student transportation services throughout our school district. The contract is pending legal review. We have heard back from legal, and we do have the signed document from First Student on their end. But we are recommending or requesting a 1-year extension based on the original contract. We know that there's a nationwide shortage of drivers. We can go through this process over and over, and we'll probably end up with First Student. They're dominating the market right now, especially where we are. And so because of it's necessary for us to have transportation for our students in the school district, we are requesting a 1-year extension with First Student to provide transportation service for the 23-24 fiscal year. I will say this, 3 years ago when they bid on the contract, they did not foresee all of the cost increases and the driver shortages and the payouts and bonuses that they had to pay, in order to have a sustainable operations. And so we were shielded from those cost increases, if you will, because we had our contractual arrangements in place. This new contract, it is quite a bit more. I think we're seeing somewhere around 22 to 25% increase. But it is certainly in line with the industry averages again, and knowing that we were shielded for the previous 3 years with those increases, we do want to recommend this extension, and it is going to be, like I said, roughly 22 to 25% more than the rates that we paid for in the previous 3 years. That concludes my presentation or the discussion item on First Student Transportation Contract Extension into next year. Are there any questions I can answer at this time?
My question is, would there be, this is for 1 expected this for, continue to do where you have to get it, you know.
It's possible, that the driver's industry, they're demanding higher wages, just like, teaching and all the other professions. And so if we're going to remain competitive and make sure we have available transportation, then certainly I don't expect that amount of an increase annually, but I do expect that at some point we will see continual increases. We will have to do an RFP for next year, so we'll get that process started early and get the competitive bids. But right now, to avoid that process, we've got the option of just going with a 1-year extension.
So, sorry, go ahead. I'm looking at the pricing and I see some projected increases and it's not much, they're slight. So is this, the increase that you're speaking of to,
Yeah, so these are the final numbers. These are not the numbers, and they will add the 25% onto this. These are the increased numbers from last year. So these are the rates for next year.
Well, there's some rates for 3 years, looks like.
Which one?
in the pricing?
Page 2, 23, 24, 24.
Is that in the attachment? Can you click the attachment, please? Okay, all right. So yeah, the attachment was modified. So again, we're recommending 1 year. So the only column we really need to be concerned with is that 23, 24 column there.
Then we'll go out for an RFP.
Exactly.
Those, outfits they're listed on there, they're not. teaching system.
Right.
So like if this is projected for 24 and 25, that's for $13, that's $13.
For the following year. Yes.
But that would have to come in as a part of the RFP bid.
Right.
And
Right. These were prices that had we gone with the 3-year option to renew, obviously, but these could change. Obviously, when there's competition, people, tend to lower the prices and be more competitive. So, but right now we're just really zeroing in on the 23, 24 numbers. Thank you.
The next item F is payroll account reconciliation services. This is in compliance with board policy DIE audits. Making this presentation, Dr. Singleton will be asking approval at the next board meeting.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Pruitt-Adams. Again, as you all know, this past year, one of the findings in the audit was the fact that we had some unreconciled payroll liability balances. And so as a result, one of the recommendations of the auditor, and to clear that finding from happening again, is to have an outside entity come in, take a look at those balances, see how we derived at them, and see if we can clean them up, what's necessary in order to get those clean. We did put out an RFP and asked for proposals. There were 3 vendors who submitted proposals. The first vendor was Forbes, a skilled accounting firm, Insight Accounting Solutions, again, an accounting firm as well, and also Plant and Bourne LLC. So we had 3 bids, one of which was substantially less than the other 2. The Insight Accounting Solutions to our department was the most responsible bidder. In fact, I think their bid was somewhere around right at about $9,600 to perform this reconciliation services. Both the other bids exceeded about $70,000 to $80,000 to do this service. So absolutely. So this is a no-brainer. We are recommending that the district enter into a contract with Insight Accounting Solutions for payroll withholding account reconciliation services not to exceed $9,600. Are there any questions for me at this time?
Did everybody understand what you were actually? I'm confused about the.
Yeah, the big differences. Yes, ma'am. You know, sometimes when you get those big firms, that's generally what you get. You get a lot of big firms that have, you know, these big names and these big reputations, and they try to command, you know, these big costs or big prices. But it's very simple what we need. We're not looking for someone to, you know, we don't even spend that much on the audit itself. Our annual audit is less than $50,000. So to pay someone, you know, that times, you know, half of that to come in to perform just reconciliation services. You know, we had an opportunity for them to reach out and answer questions. There were questions back and forth. So I think the proposal was very clear. But again, I think this was just an opportunity where, you know, some people saw that, you know, the district was in need of some help, and you know, it could have just been an opportunity where they thought that this was, you know, something that you know, they could just push through. So, but we understood the assignment. So yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Thank you.
The next item is item G, RFP for Food Service Management Company, FSMC fixed price. We will be coming at the next, we're asking for approval later tonight. Being this presentation too and presented by Dr. Lamasi.
All right. Thank you once again, Dr. Pruitt-Adams. To our special administrative board, we got extensive feedback on our food service program. We've gotten feedback for several years, you know, and I was glad to hear our student rep talk positive about the program, because we certainly have tried to make improvements and give feedback to our internal operations. Unfortunately, you know, some of the feedback that Solution Tree was able to generate and others, one of the biggest concerns from our students when they were surveyed had to deal with the quality of food, okay? And so administrators have certainly, we've engaged in dialogue with principals, teachers, and so we certainly cannot not react on that feedback. And so based on the feedback that we've received, it is absolutely necessary for us to contract out our food service program with a food service management vendor. These, of course, are it's going to be an open RFP, so anybody can bid. But of course, the big companies, the Aramarks, the Chartwells, the SFBs, you know, a lot of those vendors who are out here in this business doing this are certainly interested in helping us improve our operations. We want to improve quality, we want to improve quantity, and we just really want to make sure that we have a better meal program for our scholars. When I was in school, I didn't miss school on days that I know the food was going to be delicious. And so it may have paid off in a negative way, but I don't miss meals. So I like to eat. And so I think that it is really, it's extremely important that those programs, you know, when this may be the only meal that some of our scholars receive, it has to be right. So I think we're doing the responsible thing by going out for an RFP. So we're asking for discussion and action. We did get the first step of doing this is to get approval from DESE. We submitted our RFP to DESE. They approved it right over the spring break. And so that was one of the reasons that this item was added as an emergency to the agenda so that we could get this taken care of. Dr. Burnett.
I do want to add something to dispel any rumor that may come from this. Normally when school districts decide to outsource, there's the rumor that people are going to lose their jobs. That is not the case. Whatever company we choose, part of the negotiation will be that our current food service workers that you hire. As you know, our director of food service has recently resigned her position to move out of state. So they would then appoint a food service director. The normal process too would be that as people retire or people choose to transition, it then becomes whatever vendor we choose, their job to identify someone and hire that person, which would also help us because as you know, over the course of the year, we've had cooks turn over almost every time we come to a board meeting. And as we work to change the narrative that exists about our district, someone may go to Chartwell or Aramar or Sedeco before they choose to come to Riverview Gardens. They will handle the benefits. That will be their job to hire. And in normal situations, as I said, they pick up the workers that we have. That's one of the things that we negotiate. And as people retire or resign, then they fill that position with someone that they identify.
Thank you for clearing that up, Dr. Adams, because that is important. And we are going to, we have specified in the RFP that the food service management company pick up our employees.
I have this question to answer. This came out basically as you the conference. What's the process? I mean, what different rules are there? But maybe the students rate to. One student gets capital, who was, that's what they did. They picked some people, but I guess if they narrowed it down to 3, then they had their students basically judged by.
Sure. Yeah, so one of the things that we will ask, we certainly would like them to provide some meal samples for our scholars. We're going to let them come in and let our scholars taste. The good thing about this is in the RFP, we've asked for a chef. We know that some schools, you know, when she talked about those fresh salads and things, I mean, we're asking that they bring in a certified chef to come in and prepare meals on the spot for our scholars. Like you said, taste testings. We really want to overhaul our food service operations to be much more attractive than we have been in the past. And so as part of the process, we will get a chance to go through, you know, those scenarios that you mentioned.
I know a person is saying, person from the district is saying that when they did that more students were eating instead of going away food. Right. That's a cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. All right. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is the memorandum of understanding for student support services with the Positive Zone and Sultan Mohammed Self-Love Program. Making this presentation is Dr. Tanya Pence. This is sponsored collaborative focus of the CSIP. Dr. Pence, and this item is an MOU for approval.
Well, board members, first of all, good evening, and please approve the food service because Levon, Dr. CFO, is excited about this. Ms. Nate says she is too, so. So anyway, good evening. I bring before you 2 MOUs that will help support our students in the effort to provide meaningful support, build their skills for conflict resolution. And of course, we are on this mission to reduce our suspension rate and keep our students in school. So there are 2 MOUs that I'm bringing forth. One is from the Positive Zone and the other one is Sultan Mohammed Self-Love Program. The Positive Zone will primarily work with our middle schools, or I'm sorry, our elementary buildings, although we had some of our middle schools reach out and want to work with him as well. And then Sultan Mohammed will work with the high school. This will provide social, emotional, and mental health support for our students. And guess what, board members? This is free of charge. The special school district are partners with us, and they are covering the cost for this MOU, for both of these MOUs this school year. So I'm recommending that the SAB approve these MOUs to support the students of Riverview Gardens. Are there any questions?
Okay. The next item is the memorandum of understanding for student support services, Children's Therapeutic Center, and Students Therapeutic Services and KI.
So the Student Services Department, as our district intervention, as Ms. Liddell presented, we are on a mission to provide all kinds of services for our students. And our goal is to provide our schools with a menu to choose from as ways to support our students. So these are 2 MOUs that I'm bringing forward. They are
from the changes therapeutic, children's therapeutic services and children's therapeutic center, as well as chaos. There are three. And so again, they will help support the mental well-being of our students and their social emotional support in providing them with ways that they can support themselves, teaching them methods of supporting themselves. And so I bring these MOUs forth. There is a cost to these MOUs. It will be approximately $65,000. It will be paid for with ESSER funds 3. Dr. Singleton wants me to make sure I say ESSER 3. And so I am recommending the SAB approve these MOUs in support of our students. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
And our last item for discussion is Scholastic Summer School Professional Development. Making this presentation is Dr. Tiffany Madden. And this is in compliance with board policy GCL, professional staff development opportunities, and we will be asking approval at the next board meeting.
Good evening again, board members, Dr. Pruitt Adams, and colleagues, community friends. The Curriculum Instruction Department has selected to utilize the Scholastic Scholar Zone summer resources for this upcoming summer session. Because this program is new to district teachers and possibly external staff hired for summer school, the Curriculum Instruction Department has requested that teachers participate in a full day of professional development with a Scholastic consultant on how to effectively utilize these resources with students. The resources are specifically designed for summer programs or extended learning programs, and they incorporate 90 minutes of daily instruction in both ELA and mathematics. The cost of this professional learning experience will not exceed $3,000. So it is recommended that it be approved, and I am happy to answer any questions that you may have about it at this time. Thank you.
That concludes the items.
Thank you. We will then move to approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion? May I have a second? All in favor? For items for action, RFP for food service management company. May I have a motion? May I have a second? All in favor? At this time, we will adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn? May I have a second? All in favor? Yours.
Please join us as we